Well, we can move the camera
Okay.
so it'll catch both of us. I was trying to move the computer. I can't move the computer and do it. Well, if we can hang that right off the edge of that. You know, I wonder if we went like that. Nope, that didn't work. That, yeah,
There, we're both there now.
that'll do it.
Yeah.
So participants 5 already. Try to get this off my screen again. Oh, my volume's turned off. That's why we couldn't hear anybody. Okay. Everybody who's admitting people as they click in here as we get started, and we'll be ready to rumble here in a few minutes. Joe, you look so serious.
I'm just trying to figure out my computer. It's been a while since I've done this.
Been a year for me.
Yeah.
Good morning, Joe.
There's Mr. McEwen. How are you?
He's muted. I guess so.
That's good.
I got to ask you, Joe, I have a meeting with the old woman from the East next week on Wednesday.
Mhm.
Anything you'd like me to pass along?
Yes, I guess I'm really grateful for everything Wildlife Service has done, but I was looking at George's year-end report for 2022. And a few years ago, we had 1/3 of all cattle depredations in the state were up here. We have lowered that number now, Dave. We're 27% of the statewide cattle depredations. And I know that we're reporting more in a timely manner to Wildlife Service, so we're probably finding more animals. I know we're definitely reporting more animals. I'm really grateful for it, for what Wildlife Service is doing. Our numbers are going in the right direction, but it still tells me we need a lot more help. We're a long way from being state average, you know?
Understood.
So give her that, I guess, gratitude and thanks, and hopefully we can get some more boys or girls in the field to help us.
That'll be
Hi, Elaine.
first message.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say it's 10 on the dot and we're gonna get going. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order, and I would like everyone to say their name and who.
Pardon me for just a minute here, Doreen. I gotta see how to set the recorder on this.
Okay,
Just shows that it has been a long time. Oh, we have more people to admit to. Oh, it's already recording.
Okay,
Good morning.
good morning.
Good morning. Sorry for the slight delay, everybody. I have a bunch of people joining at the last minute here. Elaine, I have to stop or hang up on this so I can get my recorder to work.
Sure.
Okay, now we're good.
All right, I call this meeting to order. I would like everyone to say their name and who they're affiliated with. I'm Doreen Gillespie, Chairman of the Livestock Loss Board.
I'm Elaine Alstead, Vice Chairman of the Livestock Loss Board.
Patty Quizno, member of the Livestock Board.
Dave McEwen, Livestock Loss Board.
Well, let's go down the line. Got one that says guest, last 3 digits of the phone number are 132. Oh, that might be Patty. Okay, Dwayne, could you,
Dwayne Talcott, Montana Wool Growers.
Clay? That's Clay's with the Department of Livestock Bison Program. We just wanted to see how our meetings go.
Okay,
Erica,
Erica Nunless with the Centennial Valley Association.
Kara,
Kara Maplethorpe with the Centennial Valley Association.
okay. The names keep jumping. Nate,
Hi, everyone. Nate Owens, part of the Rockies Initiative.
okay, Ray Lee,
Good morning, Rayleigh Honeycutt with the Montana Stock Growers Association.
Robert.
Hey, good morning, Robert Brustwater, U.S. Senator Steve Payne's office.
Trina Joe,
And Joe Bradley, Rocky Mountain Front Ranch Men's Group.
if I have not called your name, we've got a couple more to admit. Neil, say your name and who you're with, or just that you're a rancher, doesn't, either way works. That's Neil Bernaski, south of Twin Bridges. We just had a new one join. Tana. Your name and who you're affiliated with.
Hi, I'm Tana Nolf. I'm the Associate Director with the Big Hole Watershed Committee.
Okay, I believe that's everybody.
Yeah, I'm Joe Kipp and I'm on the Livestock Loss Board.
Oh, did I miss you, Joe? I'm sorry.
All good.
all right. Everyone was given the minutes of the last meeting. Has everyone on the board looked them over?
I should say they're the most comprehensive ones I've ever written. It's more of a transcript than minutes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Dave?
I make a motion to accept the minute as written.
Do I have a second?
Second,
This is Patty. I second.
Okay, it's been approved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now, the next item on the agenda is the claim tab. I just put that in for you guys, just so that you knew where we're standing at right now. Substantially less than last year at this time. And Wildlife Services has said to me many a time, they actually did less investigations in 2022. It's just for informational purposes. And that, any of you have any questions on where we're at? Just before the meeting started, Joe did bring up Glacier County is still one of the top counties in the state. Animal wise, this year, Lewis and Clark's actually the first. They're always in the top 5, but this is the first time they've been at the top.
Wow,
Dave's got
Dave,
it.
go ahead.
I just needed clarification. Is it appropriate for me to pass this along to the federal level? I mean, do I need your permission to do that? If I do, would you see if we can't do that? And I would like in my notebook for next week.
It's just public record, Dave. I mean,
Okay,
it's out on our website too, so.
okay.
Everyone has access to it, so that's a good thing. Well, the next thing we've got on the meeting is to approve the grant guidelines.
No, board legislation.
Oh, board legislation, pardon me.
Sorry. As far as the board legislation goes, our 2 bills, House Bill 59 to extend our funding dates to 2029, passed out of the House executive action yesterday afternoon. I don't know if it's on the House floor today or not. If not, it'd probably be on for the next business day. The same thing with SB 78, our clarification on our laws as far as confidentiality of claims and the registered livestock values. So that's another just informational, give you a status update on where we're at with the legislation. So we're in good shape, and they passed through those committees unanimously. So good job to the board for getting the right things out there.
Absolutely.
Now we can go to the
Okay.
grant guidelines.
The next thing on the agenda will be the grant guidelines. Everyone has access to it because it's on our website. I've looked it over. I thank Joe and Dave for all the hard work and George with Kristen Juris on this. And I think that it's absolutely really well. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the guidelines for livestock loss prevention programs. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any-
Yep, I'd like to add just a little bit here, please.
Okay,
So this is really a very fine, small point. But when we're at, in the guidelines, it says that a third party nonprofit can apply on behalf of producers. And this is really small, but most livestock associations, because they file or charge a dues to their members, it is not considered by the IRS to be a nonprofit organization. They're considered to be a tax exempt organization.
Mhm.
And I'll give you an example. The Blackfeet Nation Stockgrowers Association with the IRS is designated a 501c5, which we're not a nonprofit. We are a tax exempt. So I guess I would like to see that wording changed if we could, because theoretically the Blackfeet Nation Stockgrowers Association can no longer apply as a nonprofit.
Joe, when Kristen Juris did the review, well, let me back up and give you a history of what happened. Just
Yep.
for everybody else online that's not aware. I took the original guidelines that you and Dave had prepared and sent them to a state attorney. I felt the state attorney did a lousy job on it. And I went to Kristen Juris for her review. And she's had these since back in May.
Mhm.
And just recently got them back, but she did what she considered a legal review of these guidelines. And the term nonprofit is more of a looked at in this sense as a generic term for the grazing associations and people like, say, the Blackfoot Challenge. And if you look through the guidelines, there's a spot in there that actually says grazing associations and things like that can apply.
Mhm.
So it's not knocked out by a tax status. There's actually a piece in here that covers those types of instances. So Blackfeet stock growers can apply because she specifically referenced it in one section of this. I'll have to take a quick glance to find that spot.
Yeah.
Question,
Go ahead, Dave.
and I apologize, I don't have those things on the computer because I don't know how to do two things at once. When it says nonprofit, Joe, does it designate 501c3 or does it just say nonprofit?
Nonprofit is all it says.
Okay. I think Kristen would be the person to say, do we want to get more specific than that? Which would alleviate that problem by not putting the 5 in there.
It's on page 2. Page 2, 4B. It says nonprofit corporations, including grazing associations, right in the guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess as long as I brought forward my concern, I think it's addressed and included. It's not excluding anybody.
Correct.
But I'll just give you a little background. I'll accept it the way it is. Give you a little background. The Blackfeet Nation Stockgrowers Association applied for a nonprofit status. And the IRS is the one to determine, because we charge dues, that we're truly not in their scope of definitions, a nonprofit, but so they issued us a 501c5, which does not carry the term nonprofit, but a tax exempt association. So that's all where I'm coming from, folks. And and I believe it's covered with this. I just don't like to get into any down the road situations with any associations that charges dues.
And I wanted to express my thanks to Kristen Juris for taking the time to look after our board and to actually go through all of these and put her legal expertise into the drafting of these and the minor edits that she did to your original work.
Doreen, can I add
Absolutely.
something here?
Go ahead, Elaine.
Also, voting on these guidelines, this will be what we go by. If we see that we glaringly missed something, we can amend them.
Correct.
They're not a rule, they're not a law. They're our guideline.
That's a good point. Is there any further discussion?
Ask for public comment now.
Yeah. Would anyone of the public like to make a comment? Seeing none.
I think Trina has her hand up.
Oh, I'm on George's. I
Oh,
can't see her.
sorry. Trina, can you unmute?
Yes, thank you. So I want to talk about a couple things that I wrote notes on. So if you go to I think it's the 4th page, under application process. Number 3, E, it says the effectiveness of proposed prevention measures. I just want to know who's going to measure that effectiveness. Is it the people that are receiving the service, or is it the board, or how do we decide if it's effective or not? Is my first question.
Well, if you look at the top for number 3, the heading above that, it says the board will consider the following criteria. So it's the board.
Okay. My next question is on under number 4 of that same section. The screening panel will develop a scoring matrix. Only grant applications deemed suitable by the screening committee will be advanced to the full board for review. My question there is, does deemed suitable mean that they meet all the criteria stated in these guidelines, or is it only what that committee has decided is?
It's the screening from these guidelines.
Yes.
Okay, so if they meet all the criteria, they should make the cut for consideration. Okay.
Yes.
And then my other question is, in that screening committee, will those meetings be public?
Typically, that type of work is done
In the committee itself.
in the committee. As far as public, it's normally not done that way, but I'll ask Kristen Juris her opinion on that.
Okay, so that's my official request for them to be public.
Okay.
And then I guess going back to number 3 really quick, I just really worry about the measuring of effectiveness in those words. And I could have a conversation with Kristen about it too, but just know that that concerns me. And then I will defer to Rayleigh. She has her hand up too. So thank you.
Okay, yep. Rayleigh, could you unmute, please?
Yeah, thank you. Wanted to provide some feedback from the Montana Stock Growers Association in reviewing these policies. Want to thank everyone for their work as they've worked on pulling these together. This was definitely, from our perspective, a much needed step in the right direction. We have a few comments that we wanted to highlight as well. The first one is in regards to on page 2, eligibility, bullet point 2, where it talks about any proposed predation prevention practices must be consistent with their terms as it relates to conservation easements, zoning, leases, etc. And then it says the Livestock Loss Board may request the applicants to provide conservation easements, leases, zonings, and other restrictions. But at the end of that paragraph, it says these restrictions may not be grounds for disqualification of the application. And so I guess our question would be, how will this information be used if it cannot be used to disqualify an application? And is that a necessary information for the committee to have to score an application appropriately? understanding that under the criteria, that does fall under G, other criteria requested by the board, but I'm in reading this, having a hard time connecting the dots on if it cannot be a disqualifier, how will that information be used for as a criteria piece?
Well,
The second area I wanted to highlight is on page 4, under application process. And number 2, I would reiterate what Trina said. I think that there is a lot of, as this being a new process and a lot of unfamiliarity and with how this process will be working, I would encourage the screening committee, even though it will not be a quorum and not required to be a state noticed or public hearing, would encourage for this panel to have those scoring meetings done in a public setting. And then the last area I wanted to highlight as well is regarding number 4 under the application process and the scoring metric. In reading this, I think it would be beneficial for that scoring metric and the weights of the criteria to be published with the opening of the application process, so that applicants have a clear understanding of how the information that's being asked for is being weighted and scored prior to a determination of their application process. So those were the highlights that I had. Again, thank you for the opportunity to comment on that, and definitely look forward to seeing this process be implemented. Thanks.
May I address these?
Absolutely, George, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll start with the last piece. The scoring criteria is going to be public and part of the grant process, so everybody knows up front. That's the next stage that I'm going to after these guidelines are approved. So that really, you hit on something where we are already going to do, and it will be part of the grant application. As far as the screening panel, again, I will talk to Kristen Juris about that. And I think the first one you asked was number 2. The how easements and that relate to the grant process. If, say, for instance, a ranch has an easement, but they do not allow wildlife services or someone else to come in and help with that problem, once that problem starts, that can have an impact on how the board would review those grant applications. Because if a ranch is hindering taking care of a problem, it would kind of reduce the board's desire to fund a project on that. Dave might have a better explanation for that than I did, but in essence, it's looking at those leases to see what is or is not allowed as far as predator control to control grizzly bears or wolves. And to my knowledge, that's the best way I can explain it. Do you got anything to add, Dave?
I think you covered it, George. There's no sense granting money for a program that legally under a conservation easement that can't be carried out by a agency of authority. They've already come into that problem with FWP, and they do not do work on those places anymore because they can't do anything except listen to the landowner scream and yell. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Any further discussion?
Oh, there's a hand up, Erica.
Okay.
Erica, please unmute and you're next.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate that I'd like to see the on Trina's point, the screening process public, And then also, I think some clarification, similar to the discussion you guys just had under how the conservation easements will be used. Might be kind of nice to have in these guidelines if you're going to use them as guidelines.
They're in the guidelines,
Yeah,
so I'm
Well, maybe-
confused by your
okay.
statement.
any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I don't see any, let me check across the top here. Green, make sure we haven't missed anybody with their hand up. Erica's hand is still up. I don't know if she had anything further to add.
No, sorry, I'll get that down.
Thank you. All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second, on the floor. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, may I have a motion to, then I'm gonna set up a pre-application review committee. This is to screen application prior to a full board meeting to ensure the applications fit within the grant guidelines and to score applications. And I would very much like, Dave accepted it. Would you like to be on it too?
Yes, I could do that.
Thank you so much. You two have done such a wonderful job for me. I so appreciate it. All right.
You
With
were,
that-
you are now the screening panel.
Yeah. Well, with that being done, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
No, we need
Oh.
public comment for
Oh.
items not
Oh, I
on the
thought that
agenda.
was public comments.
That was on the, that was. on the
Okay.
motion.
Now, if anyone else has any public comment, I thought we adjourned before we did the public comment, so
No,
excuse me for doing that. All right, is there any more public comment? Not on the agenda?
seeing none, I guess,
Seeing none, do I have a motion
to adjourn.
to adjourn? Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Elaine. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you all for your comments and for everything. We are adjourned.
Just waiting to see how many people are still on. Hi, Dwayne. Got to
Hi,
see
George. How are you?
you. Good.
Great.
Well, guess with that, I will end the meeting.
Thanks for allowing me on, George.
You're welcome.
Yep, you're welcome.